It is January 18th, 2021, Martin Luther King Day, right here in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm with a young man standing on Benning Road in East Capitol named Taron Johnson with a powerful testimony. This young brother is one of the young brothers that I've been working with, and I'm just very proud of him. I made a promise to him, and now he's keeping his end of the bargain. We're stepping up to the plate. And today he's going to share a little bit about his story, and then we're going to talk a little bit about next steps and where our relationship is going to go from here. So, Taron, tell us a little bit about who you are, man, and where you come from. What's your story, man?
How y'all doing? My name is Taron Johnson. I was born uptown Howard, 1995, June 29th. You know, I ain't really had no father figure in my life, so, you know, the streets was the next thing. But I thank my grandmother and my mother for trying to keep me out of trouble. And I thank Mr. Gaskins right here for really helping me from when I first came home, because when I first came home, I was working with my uncle and so on. I guess my charge that I caught wasn't required to the job, so they had to let me go. And now I'm here with him, and he helping me get my stuff together. So I'm just asking all the youth, you know what I'm saying, that been through what I've been through, like came home, a dead time like me, you know, grew up how I grew up in the streets, ain't had nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here now getting help. You can just follow me, you know what I'm saying? If I can do it, anybody can do it, especially me. If you know, you know. Thank Mr. Gaskins here, man.
So talk to me a little bit, man. You talked a little bit about being incarcerated, but before you got incarcerated, what was your life like as a young man in the district, man?
Just running around high-headed, not listening, doing smoking, drinking, you know, doing what he wanted. Not listening. I ain't care about life. You know, I really ain't know what life meant. Or I ain't had nobody to really sit down and tell me you doing wrong, man.
So you telling me your uncle and other people in your life weren't telling you, Tay, cut it out?
They was, but they wasn't telling me raw. They wasn't telling me like straight giving it to me raw. They was cutting corners, you know, and it was like a whole lot of games. So it was like I was just like, man, going one ear out the other.
So you saying that butt kicking wasn't strong enough?
Nah, I was getting one wasn't strong enough.
So it wasn't strong enough.
Nah,
okay, so at what age did you do your first your stretch in jail?
My first stretch as an adult at 17. I did 3 years from 17 to 20. Came home 2 weeks, went back in for 4 years, and I just came home this time.
So you did a total of 7 years in jail.
Yeah.
From 17 years old.
From 17 all the way to 25.
Because you're 25 going to 26 now.
That's a fact.
So for the last 7 years of your life, you've been incarcerated.
Been incarcerated.
And now you've been home for a little less than a year?
Less than a year. I really ain't had nothing going on for myself when I first came home. But now after like 6 months I've been home still on the same thing. Nah, I'm just trying to change. So that's why I'm glad we've been having them talks for the last 2 weeks. So last time we talked, you said something that made me really think, and that next day that next morning I went and got my shit together, when I signed up for my ID and all that.
Well, I spoke to you when you came home, when you first came. You've been ducking.
Yeah.
You've been ducking.
Yeah, because my mind wasn't right.
I understand.
My mind wasn't
I understand.
Right. To be honest, it wasn't
right. But you
right.
know what we got going on for each other, bro? You live right across the street from me, so I get to see you.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so look, you came home. You didn't really jump right into anything right away, right?
Right.
But you've had time. So what are your priorities now? Now that you've been home almost a year, right? We talk, right?
Yeah.
But what are now 3 of the most important things you can't waste any more time and you got to start doing?
Yeah, my ID, my state ID, my social security card, employment, and my education, most important.
That's 4.
Yeah.
So you said state ID and social security card. So that's identification.
That's identification.
So
okay.
let's go back. 3 things you working on right now. Getting your
ID, education,
getting your education,
and employment,
and finding a job.
Right.
All right. So let's talk about ID. Where we at with ID right now?
I just signed up for that, so I'm waiting for that in the mail.
What did you sign up for?
My picture ID, the state ID.
Okay, and what else are you working
And the
on?
social security card, I just signed up for that, so we gotta wait for that too in the mail.
So you didn't have a social security card or a state ID?
Nope.
And so you're working on that, and then after that, you got birth certificate?
Yeah, I got my birth certificate.
So then we're gonna work on a voter registration card and a passport?
That's it.
Okay.
And the education too.
All right, no, we're gonna focus on that now. So now that we got ID out the way, we got a clear goal for that. Where we at with education? Talk to
at
me about
that-
education. Like, where were you
I
at with
stopped at
education?
the 10th grade, so I'm really trying to get my education because you really need your education in life. Like, I really need my education. So I'm
So you
trying
dropped
to get
out of
that.
high school?
Yeah, I dropped out of high school. At
Guess
10,
who else dropped
at
out of
the
high
10.
school?
Oh, you.
And went on to get my GED, bachelor's degree, and master's.
And that's why you here with me now.
And that's
'cause
why
I'm
I'm here
following
with
you.
now.
I'm following
Okay,
yourself.
so education, we got to look for a GED program.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
After what are we working on after that? What are we working on? Employment. So where we at with employment right now?
Well, like I first said, I had a job when I first came home, but I guess my background ain't required to it, so now I'm looking for another one.
Did you check in with any of the returning citizen programs, or like did the prison before you came home talk to you about the reentry process?
No,
none of
they
that.
ain't talked to me about none of that. And
You came home on the COVID.
Yeah, on the COVID thing.
All right, so look, so we got to work on that.
Yeah.
All right,
that's a
so
fact.
the employment piece, resume, you had that?
Yeah.
Cover letter?
Yeah.
That stuff we got to work on, and
Right.
you got that?
Nah, that stuff we gotta work on.
That stuff we got to work. All right, so
Right.
look, Tay, here's the thing. I'm very proud of you, my brother.
Yeah.
Today is Martin Luther King's birthday.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's a
So
fact.
if we standing here today, we standing here as a part of that dream.
That's a fact.
And so I'm proud of you. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to continually work with you
Yeah.
until we make progress with your permission.
Right.
So can we commit to at least once a week from now on and never look back?
That's a fact.
Where we check in, we sit down, we look at where you
Yeah.
and keep it moving?
Yeah, that's a fact. Troops.
Ladies and gentlemen, look, there's nothing more I can say. I'm tired of listening to people talk about what they do for young people.
And don't do it.
And sometimes don't do it. And it's not to say that there aren't a lot of people that's doing a lot of good work, but the reality is this. I've spent the last 22 years here in the District of Columbia. I have worked at the University of District of Columbia. I have attended the University of District of Columbia. I have worked at the Department of Employment Services Office of Youth Programs. I have worked for mental health services like an organization called Life Enhancement Services. So I'm very familiar with the services that are provided. But at the end of the day, it is not enough to keep listening to people tell you what they do for young people.
Right.
It's time to have young people tell you
what
what
they
they're doing for themselves. And that is the line that I'm drawing as I begin to fulfill my own dream with starting my own business and beginning to do the work that I'm passionate about, because I just don't feel like I have to work for anybody anymore. I've lived this life. I've been a young man like this man, incarcerated. I came home, I went to school, I did the things I needed to do, and it wasn't easy. But when you start moving into spaces like a university, and that's supposed to help you move along, or when you try to go to an employment agency and take advantage of the services that they provide, those services need to work. They need to be powerful enough to affect change. They need to be engaging, and they need to have the proof in the pudding. Mm-hmm. And that's what comes out of the mouth of the people that need their lives changed the most. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
So look out for the work that I plan to continue to do, not only with Taron, but with so many other young men and women here in the district and in New York. Look out for the Youth Advocate Show as we begin to put some truth, speak truth to power, and put it out there for all to see. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any opportunities for this young man that we can provide him in addition to what I'm trying to do, please contact me on Facebook or call me if you have my information. And this young man will benefit directly from whatever information or resources you have. Are you cool with that?
Yes, sir.
So that's what this is about. This is one of the young men that has made the commitment. Support us as we move forward, because I'm so dedicated to this work and to young men like you. Take care, brother.
You too.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for committing to this, man.
All right.